Our movie is set in World War II, the year 1943, and it opens with a man named Israel calling people to come and watch the circus in Rome. Inside a circus tent, a man with white hair named Sensio performs first and shows off his ability to control insects. Mario, a dwarf man, is the next performer, showing he can control metal with magnetic abilities. Just then, a beast-like of a creature, Fulvio, comes in, with his entire body covered in hair, showing us his skills of strength by bending a gun. And our last performer is the beautiful young woman, Mathilde, with electric abilities where she can light up bulbs and even electrocute anyone who touches her. Just as everyone is cheering and enjoying the show, a sudden explosion strikes, causing many to be wounded. The circus tent also gets destroyed, with people running away trying to escape these explosions. The scene then shifts to a large image of Hitler and the Nazi flag. Inside this room, there are drawings of various items from the future, like an image of an iPhone that shouldn't exist. Then we see an unconscious man, as a woman named Irina tries to wake him up. This man's name is Franz. He's a German pianist with 6 fingers on each hand, and has the ability to see the future. He's also the one in control of Circus Berlin. He tells Irina that he'd seen 4 people with special abilities in his sleep, and that they are the only chance to win against the war. A drawing of this road is shown, and it transitions to the next scene, where Israel and his circus group are seen traveling on that road in their car. They then decide to stay at a ruin of a building for the night, where Israel tells the group about going to America. The group had this argument about going there because they don't find it reasonable for them, especially Fulvio, who pointed out that, unlike Israel and Mathilde, it'd be difficult for him, Sensio, and Mario because they don't look normal like most people. Now, in the middle of the night, Israel notices Mathilde having nightmares, and he tries waking her up, but she electrocutes his hand. Mathilde got upset because of that, but Israel calms her down, and it ends up with Mathilde getting convinced to go to America, with Israel assuring her that they won't be separated. Come morning, the group lines up to Israel, and it gives them their money for the America trip, and Fulvio makes a deal with them that when they get there, they'll get the circus back on its feet. Israel agrees with him. Israel then leaves and promises to come back by nightfall, but when the time came, he didn't show up. The group's arguing, and they believe that Israel fled with their money, except for Mathilde, who's defending him. She also convinces the entire group to go and find him. Now, in the next scene, Franz is showing a man with his head in a glass cage filled with water to his brother, Aman, and tells him that this man could breathe in water, and he's one of the people with the abilities he saw in his vision, but only for the man to drown. Franz gets all angry and frustrated and smashes the man's head. Aman tells Franz to stop the search for people with abilities and just go back to playing music, man. But Franz tells him that it's their chance to win the war. But Aman doesn't budge. And so Franz tells him that Hitler will shoot himself in the head, which Aman tells Franz to keep silence about. Franz pleads to Aman to give him another chance, and he gave him 1 more week for his search. The next scene shows Mathilde, Fulvio, Sensio, and Mario arriving in Rome to search for Israel, only to find the cruelty of the Nazis towards the Jewish people. The 3 guys were unfortunately taken by the soldiers, but luckily they were able to escape using their abilities. Mathilde caught up with them, but they end up in another argument. The group ends up separating, as Mathilde, being the only one who believes in Israel, leaves to look for him, while the other 3 go to Circus Berlin. As they say goodbye, Sensio gives Mathilde a jar of fireflies so she could see the way. Mathilde avoids an attempted by a German soldier, saving herself by electrocuting him with her powers. She runs away fast, ending up in the woods, where she's almost unable to control her powers and she falls unconscious. A resistance group with a hunchback leader, Il Gobbo, finds Mathilde and rescues her. The scene then shifts back to Fulvio, Mario, and Sensio arriving at Circus Berlin, and they're happy to see many people that are like them. They take a peek at the stage and see Franz playing the piano. They're rounded up by one of Franz's people in the room backstage, and they show their abilities to Franz. Sensio was almost separated from Mario and Fulvio, but he got his attention when he made a bunch of bugs form the swastika symbol. The 3 men were then treated luxuriously, and they start believing they'll have a good life in this circus. But little did they know, what comes next is pure torture. The next scene then shows Mathilde meeting the group that saved her. She told them she was looking for Israel, but the hunchback wants to talk about her abilities. She refused to show him, but he's urging her, and even made a deal that if she does show him and help him fight for their cause, they'll help her find Israel. Meanwhile, Franz is over here torturing the three guys, using their own abilities against them. The resistance group brings Mathilde with them, as they spy on Nazis who are taking Jews to their camp. That's when Mathilde sees Israel, and realizes that he was captured by the enemies. Without thinking, she runs towards him and climbs onto the truck, but the soldiers stop her. She claims to be Jewish, and is almost shot by a soldier. Luckily, the group interfere and the Nazi enemies, but the truck Israel was on escaped, and the two are separated again. Back in the resistance group's campsite, the leader forcibly makes Mathilde admit why she won't use her powers, and so revealing the truth, we learn that she accidentally killed her mother, and that's why she won't use her powers anymore, because she's afraid of hurting anyone else, even if they're the enemy. Meanwhile, Franz has another vision, where he hears a phone ringing from inside the circus tent. He goes in and finds an iPhone in the middle of the stage. He picks it up, and what was strange to him was that he didn't even know how to answer the call. Luckily, his finger slides off the screen, he answers it, and a video starts playing. At first, he's happy to see Hitler and the Nazis succeeding, but then eventually it shows him what would happen, how they'll lose the war. He even saw who he assumes is Hitler, shooting himself in the head. Mathilde, on the other hand, is informed by One Eye, another member of the resistance group, of the real purpose of the circus, and so she leaves to save her friends. But when she gets to Circus Berlin, she's captured by Franz, who begins to believe that the four freaks are the ones who appeared in his vision. So he organizes a big show to present them to his brother Amon and to Field Marshal Kesselring to convince him to employ the freaks in the war. Before the show started, he makes Irina his fiancée and promises to marry her when they get home to Germany. Now during the show, Franz tries to force Mathilde to electrocute a tiger, but amazingly, Mathilde for the first time is able to control her power and manages not to electrocute that tiger. Franz doesn't like that and threatens to shoot Mario to make Mathilde use her powers, but the tiger pees on him, causing him to slip on stage and is humiliated and mocked. Very embarrassed, Franz orders the four freaks to be burned alive. Afraid to in the chamber, the three men tried using their powers to escape, but it was no use. Luckily, Mathilde was able to conjure her powers and succeeds in blowing up their cell door, and the four friends leave to save Israel, who's traveling on one of the trains. Franz realizes that the four are in fact the ones he's looking for, and that destiny will be fulfilled at a train station he saw in his vision. He ends up his brother Amon and takes his identity, wearing his uniform and even cutting off his extra fingers. He takes his place pretending to be him as head of the army. The four friends find the train and were able to get in. Mathilde, Mario, and Fulvio were in the train car full of German soldiers, and to distract them they start using their abilities. But it ends up in a fight. Luckily, Sensio arrived being carried by bees with the use of his powers. The train comes to a halt, and the four friends help the Jews escape while also looking for Israel. The three men find him first, and they hug as Israel asks for Mathilde. And when they see each other, they start running towards one another, with Franz and the German soldiers arriving. Franz excitedly runs to Mathilde, trying to convince her to go with him and join the German forces, but Mathilde refuses, and German soldiers are shooting Jews. Mathilde was about to get shot until Israel shielded her, and when the smoke fades out, Mathilde and Israel have disappeared. Just then, the resistance group arrives and a war breaks out. But despite the help of the resistance and the powers of the three freaks, the Germans still seem to win the battle. We then see Israel and Mathilde running through the woods and taking cover. Only Israel is bleeding badly from the gunshot wound he got, and ultimately he loses his life. But not before telling Mathilde to never be afraid. And that's when Mathilde finally lets go, letting herself reach her highest potential. She lets all her power out, creating this huge ball of energy, and she's able to defeat the Germans, including Irina. Franz is able to hide from this blast, but when he finds Irina and pulverized, he finally realizes that his vision isn't about Hitler's side, but his own. And he fulfills that vision by shooting himself in front of Mathilde and friends. After his death, all the Jews are able to escape and the resistance wins the battle, with the four friends staying together. Mathilde, now knowing how to fully control her powers, lets her friends touch her without them being electrocuted. She even gave Sensio a kiss, and all of them hugged. Our story ends with the four friends continuing their journey together. Always a pleasure having you guys around. Thanks for watching.